Hey guys, how are y'all doing today? I hope you're doing well. I'm doing great. I'm excited because today we are going to talk about elements and compounds, and we're actually going to be able to construct some. So it's going to be fun. The first couple things I want to talk to you about, though, before we get started. Elements are made up of one type of atom. So hopefully you've watched the videos on all the assignments that we've given out, so you should know some of this already. But let's talk about an atom for just a minute. So an atom is what elements are made of. Like, hydrogen would have hydrogen atoms in it. So in each type of atom, there are three different things that make up atoms. So you could break an atom down into three separate things. One of those things is a proton. So a proton is a positively charged particle. So I'm going to make a circle with a plus sign in it because it's positive. It's happy. It's a happy, positive proton. So another thing that makes up atoms is called a neutron. And a neutron is a neutral. It's a neutrally charged particle. So I'm going to put an N in there so it's neutral. It's not happy. It's not sad. It's not positive. It's not negative. It's just neutral. It's in the middle. Okay. And the last thing that makes up atoms are electrons. And electrons are little bitty. They're really, really small compared to these protons and neutrons, and they're negative. They're negative Nellies. So these little tiny things, we're going to make just a really small circle with a little bitty line in there, and that is the electrons. Okay. So these three things, no matter how they come together, they're always what makes up all of the different elements on that periodic table. The thing that changes is the amount of these three things in each element. So if we have a different amount of protons, we've got a different element. That's where that number on the periodic table comes from. That atomic number is the number of protons. So we're going to build a hydrogen atom right here. So if you remember correctly, a hydrogen atom, the chemical symbol is just a capital H. Okay, so hydrogen chemical symbol is an H. Its atomic number is 1. Okay, so because of that number right there, I know how many protons are in a hydrogen atom. So to build this, we're going to start in the middle. So we're going to put our protons in here. So I'm going to build 1 proton. Okay, and if there's 1 proton, my lights went off. Come on, guys. Okay, there we go. Okay, if we have 1 proton, chances are we're going to have 1 neutron. So I'm going to put 1 neutron in here too, inside this atom. Okay, and then on the outside, in what we call shells, there's circles like this right here. This is where these teeny tiny little negative Nelly electrons float around. So if we have 1 proton, we're probably going to have 1 electron. So we'll put him out here and put a little line in there. So that's kind of, to draw an atom on a piece of paper, what a hydrogen atom would look like. We've got 1 proton, 1 neutron, and 1 little electron floating around on the outside. Okay, so let's look over here. We've got some instructions for our constructing elements lab. It says all elements are made of one type of atom. So all hydrogen elements, the element hydrogen is made of this type of atom right here. Okay, all the other elements, their atoms are going to look a little bit different. Like if we made helium, we could put another proton in here, another neutron in here, and another electron on the outside, and now we have helium. Kind of cool, right? Okay, so elements are represented by chemical symbols. This right here, this hydrogen, that capital H, that is the chemical symbol. Okay, they can have, an element can have one or many of the same type of atom. So if we have hydrogen right here and we have another hydrogen stuck together, the chemical symbol for that would be H2. If there's 2 hydrogens stuck together, the chemical symbol or chemical formula would be H2. So this 2 right here just tells us how many atoms are in there. Okay, so if there's just 1, it's just going to be that capital letter H if there's just one hydrogen. If there's 2 atoms of hydrogen, it will have that little 2 right there. Okay. Compounds are formed when 2 or more elements combine to form a different type of matter. So this is where we will get into things like water. Do you remember the chemical formula for water? It's H2 with a capital O. So we have 2 atoms of hydrogen combined with 1 atom of oxygen, and we know it's 1 atom of oxygen because there's no number out beside it. Okay, so now all of a sudden our hydrogen turned into a compound. Our hydrogen element turned into a compound. And we know that because now we all of a sudden have 2 capital letters. This is a trick for you. Whenever we take that test, if it asks you, is this an element or a compound, look for the capital letters. Every time. If you only have 1 capital letter like this right here, just 1 capital letter, that is going to be an element. Okay, 1 capital letter equals an element. This right here, this hydrogen and this oxygen, we've got 1, 2 capital letters. We know right now that that is a compound. Okay, so whenever you see it on a test or on another question, if you have more than 1 capital letter in a chemical formula, you have a compound. Whereas if you only have 1, even if it's say like Cl, we still only have 1 capital letter. Don't count the lowercase letters, okay? This is still an element, okay? I hope that makes sense a little bit. Let's see. So compounds are represented by chemical formulas like this right here. They show numbers and the type of atom that make up the compound. Today, we are going to create elements and compounds out of little cubes that kind of look like Legos. And we'll show you what that looks like here in just a few. I hope this helps a little bit, kind of wrap your brain around what atoms look like on paper and this compounds. If you find more than 1 capital letter in a chemical formula, you have a compound. If you have only 1 capital letter, even 1 capital letter and a lowercase letter, you've got an element. Okay? Go ahead and scroll down this form, read some stuff, and then watch the next video.